Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar on Facebook apps. My name is Jill, and presenting today is Ellery Long. He is our social media manager, and he's going to take you through all kinds of things that you can do with your Facebook page through apps. Just a couple things before we get started with the presentation. This webinar will be about 40 minutes long, approximately. Ish. And at the end, there will be time for Q&A. So if you do think of questions along the way, go ahead and type those into the box that you see in your GoToWebinar window, and we'll be more than happy to answer as many of those as we can at the end of the webinar. One of the questions that we get at all webinars, and we will probably get it at this one, is this being recorded? And the answer is yes, we are going to record this. It will be available on our help site under the webinars tab next week. So you'll be able to access all of this information next week if you want to go through and have a refresher. So with that, I am going to hand it over to Ellery.
Awesome. Thank you, Jill. So before we dive into some examples and some kind of cool, interesting things you can do using custom tabs and apps, I wanted to kind of set the stage a little bit, give you an idea of what you can really get out of apps and why you would bother using them, or in many cases, investing in, financially in trying to beef up your Facebook page. So I'm going to use a couple pieces from an infographic that comes from a company called Moontoast. They actually make Facebook apps, and I'll show you one of theirs a little bit later on. But I really like this infographic because of the way they frame the relationships between you and your customers. So they essentially here outline how close a customer is to your brand, starting all the way down to potential fan, which is a friend of a current fan of yours, up to super fan. So this is someone who's making purchases, who's convincing other people to make purchases, and who's really interacting with you. And there's all these different levels along the way as they get closer and closer to you as a brand as far as engagement is concerned. When looking at the different things that, the different levers that go towards this, you can see here that we have, liking on your website. So if you have a like button, hopefully set up on your company website, they can like you on your Facebook page. Or the most powerful way to connect with you is using Facebook Connect, which is utilized by many of the apps we're going to talk about today. And you can see kind of all the different benefits that you're getting once you are able to connect with a customer using Facebook Connect. From accessing their profile and getting more, demographic information on your fans, all the way to actually being able to email. You can send, you can contact your fans, and using Facebook Connect. I will just caveat that by, it's fresh on my mind because I liked a page on Facebook yesterday when I was doing some research for this. And I already got an email from them today in my email inbox, not as a Facebook message. And there was no point in me liking them where I was explicitly opting in to receiving newsletters. So I would highly recommend that if you are going to utilize that you have a copy that says as much when you are asking for the like. Nobody likes to get email messages that they didn't ask for. It's a really good way to get kicked over to the spam folder. So anyways, this is the spectrum of engagement and how you can reach fans in different ways. And apps are going to be the most powerful way to build that engagement with your fans and customers. So what can apps do for you to get you there? I want to start by just making a clarification. There's Facebook tabs, custom tabs, and then there's applications. Oftentimes these words, tabs and apps, are used interchangeably, and a lot of times they do mean the same thing. A tab at its basic level is a custom tab added to the tab menu on the left side of your Facebook page. It's an actual app when there's some sort of interactivity going on. So if you have to connect your Facebook to utilize it. So the most kind of common ones are probably contests, sweepstakes, things where you're within a Facebook page, you say, yes, connect with this, you're using an app. A tab doesn't necessarily have to have that, and we'll show you some that don't, but ultimately you're using some sort of app to create that tab, whether it's static or dynamic. So what can apps, and I'm going to use probably both of those words throughout the rest of this webinar, and I am going to be kind of using them interchangeably. What can apps do for you? So we've already determined your customers are on Facebook. You wouldn't be here on this webinar if you didn't think that 800 million users and climbing, people are using Facebook all the time. So apps really give you an opportunity to bring your message to your fans in the place that they're already interacting. Customers are inundated with requests. This goes along the same way. Everyone's on Facebook. Every email you ever get says, like us on Facebook, come check us out on Facebook. So using apps and custom tabs are going to give you the ability to stand out from all the different Facebook pages that are out there competing for your fans' time. Statistics show that 90% of fans never return to your page. So they go like your page on Facebook, because they probably genuinely like the brand, and maybe want to see your updates in their status in their timeline, but they don't actually return to your page, which is where the host of your information is going to be. So using apps and having interactive experiences are going to provide your fans a reason to keep coming back to the page. You know, if it's a sweepstakes or a contest, they're going to want to come back and check out the status. If you have a fan of the week and you're updating consistently, there's reasons to return, and that's a key thing here. Creative flexibility. If you're into aesthetics, if you're into design, Facebook's set profile can be frustrating. It's very much a cookie cutter template that every page looks the same. Using custom tabs is going to give you the opportunity to really take control of your branding and have the aesthetic that fits in line with all of your brand design. And the last thing, and we're going to hit on this over and over and over, it's all about engagement, right? Engaged fans are more likely to buy. They're more likely to recommend you to their friends. So use apps, engage them already. Quickly, before we dive in, I wanted to just share a couple of stats so you can kind of get an idea of the breadth that we're talking about here. So apps are installed on Facebook, personal profiles, more than 20 million times a day. Every month, more than 500 million people are using an app on Facebook or experiencing Facebook platform on other websites, so using Facebook Connect outside of the Facebook environment. And there's more than 7 million apps and websites that are integrated with Facebook. So it's big. This is not a new thing, and it's a very established market, which is great news for you because it's less work in the long run because there's a lot of things out of the box ready to go. And when it comes to vendors, which we'll go into at the very end, I'm going to touch upon some vendors that you can use for this, but I would just recommend, researching. There's tons and tons out there. I'm going to try and narrow it down a little bit, but I didn't want to spend the day just looking at vendors and doing feature comparisons. So what we're really going to focus on here is what you can do with the apps. Most of the vendor companies are going to have very similar product offerings. So let's dive in and look at, what apps can bring to your page and what kind of engagement and strategies you can use by using them. First up, welcome tabs. A welcome tab is something, the very first thing you see if you've set the default on your Facebook admin for non-fans of your page. When they show up on your Facebook page, they're going to be brought to a specific welcome tab, not just your wall. Let's face it, the wall's relatively boring and uninformative for people who don't know much about your brand. So bringing them to a welcome tab gives you an opportunity to do a couple things. For one, it gives you the opportunity to ask for the like right off the bat. And this example from Red Bull does a really great job of bringing your eye exactly to where you want it, the like button. So think about your call to action. Think about what you can do to draw attention there, and utilize a welcome tab to compel people to like the page. Speaking of compelling, this is one of my favorite welcome tabs. I've used it. If you've seen other ones of my webinars, you may have seen this one before. I really like the way that the brand's personality comes out on this. This is Moose Jaw. They're an outdoor outfitter, if you will. And so they've got kind of a cheeky brand and personality. So they say like us or don't. And if you read the reasons down here, and this is what I really wanted to show you, was because everyone's getting asked to like all the time, you need to actually give compelling reasons to do so. So they're telling their fans right off the bat they're going to get free giveaways every day on the page, rewards points, um, and then
Funny
sorry,
things.
and then this is where the personality comes back. So their Facebook page is smoke free. Tip somewhere you may have misplaced something. So they're trying to be funny. They're totally in line with their brand, but they do mix in their offers and reasons why someone should like them. Along the same terms, maybe you aren't an outdoor outfitter, and maybe your brand is not as
Not so
sexy
funny.
as some other brands, but that doesn't mean you can't give good reasons for people to like your page. So it's B2B company here, giving exclusive access, chances to win tickets to their conferences, and free accounts with some of their services. So they're doing a good job, and then they've got that arrow as a call to action right up top, pointing to the like button. It's also a great opportunity, as I touched upon earlier, to really have the aesthetics of your brand come across. So this is what I mean by standing out from the crowd. This is when you land on the Facebook page, the first thing you see is this really bright and engaging image. And they're also working on the compelling piece with the like our page to power your connections. Kind of a little bit of air of mystery there. What does that mean? But ultimately, they're making you want to click that button. Video is another way that you can utilize a welcome tab. So video has been proven over and over on Facebook to be the most engaging kind of content. So when you're doing status updates, and in general, this is a great rule of thumb, Facebook ranks kind of the power of different content on their system. And that the more powerful your content, the more likely it's going to show up in people's news feeds. Video is the number one ranked piece of content, followed by photos, followed by links, and then last is just the plain, boring old status update, text status update. But as a welcome tab, video takes on an even more powerful use because it can be a great way to introduce people to your brand, almost like an about page. So you've got a video that talks about your brand. Maybe it's a message from your CEO or yourself if you're a sole proprietor. But it's a great opportunity to add personality, to hook people in, and present yourself in an engaging, dynamic way. You can also use welcome tabs as an about page, so giving a lot of the information. Now, Facebook has the info tab, which they've already told you what info you are supposed to share with your audience. And that's, a description of your business, maybe your physical address, your URL. Well, using a welcome tab gives you an opportunity to send the message about your business that you want to send. So here, you'll see that they've got links to their YouTube, Twitter, and blog, so it's great to cross-promote everything. And they've got this great image that really shows what their product is and what they're all about. Along the same lines, you've got this design company here. They're on every social network known to man, which you see on the right-hand side, but they're not afraid to share that on Facebook. They're doing a good job of recognizing that social media and various social networks don't exist in silos, right? So just because someone's interacting with you on Facebook, maybe they're actually an active StumbleUpon user and they are bookmarking things on Stumble all the time. Well, now you've given them an opportunity to join you there as well. Two other things that are really nice about this welcome tab about page. Up top, you'll see a link to request a free quote. So there's lead generation going on right here within Facebook. And then down at the bottom, you'll see that they give opportunity to share. So that's great. They're using social plugins, and these are all free from Facebook. If you go into the Facebook developers forum, you can download or get the code to add buttons to any HTML that you're doing. So they've got a like button here, they've got a share, and they've even got a tweet button so that I could theoretically go tweet to my friends and have them come back and check out the page. So they're doing a lot of good stuff, but still keeping it clean and straightforward. On the other end of the spectrum, this is a customer of ours, and I love their page. They actually won the Social Media Examiner's Small Biz Facebook. They're in the top 20 pages, and it's easy to see why. I mean, they've got this really compelling, dynamic screen, but they're doing everything I just talked about. They've got links to their other social networks. They've got a good description of their business and reasons to like the page. They've got a video from the owner. And our favorite here at Vertical Response, you'll see they've got an opt-in form built into their welcome tab for people to opt into their Vertical Response newsletter, which is a great opportunity to connect with somebody in the ultimate way. I mean, email is still the most powerful connection that you can have with your customer. Facebook and any of these tabs and apps still require your customers to come and seek them out, whereas email, you're coming into their inbox. So if somebody is compelled by this offer, it's a great way right there on the first thing they saw on the page to opt in. It doesn't have to be a big, designy, fancy part of a greater thing, though. You can have a dedicated tab, and we'll move out of welcome tabs now into dedicated tabs for opt-ins. So here we have from our Vertical Response Facebook page, this is an opt-in form, and if you don't know how, you just go into your lists section in your VR account, and you'll find a tab for opt-in forms. You specify what fields you want, and we're going to give you the HTML to then place into, your website, any web property you have. But for Facebook, really simple, just to get a static HTML tab application, and I'll show you how to get that later. Copy paste the HTML in, and you've got an opt-in form on your Facebook page. Moving on, fan gating. The idea of fan gating, the concept is keeping content back from your customers until they like your page. So essentially, you're trading likes for something. There's a lot of fun ways you can do this. So HubSpot here on their welcome tab blurs out part of their tab, and as soon as you click like, it reloads the image fully loaded. Along the same lines, Skull Candy, which they make headphones, I believe, has a bunch of different tabs, and some of them are open to anybody who comes to visit the page, but some are exclusive only for fans, and they make it very clear that to get this, exclusive collaboration between these people, you have to like the page. You can have fun with it too. I really like this TZT's one. So they've basically blacked out half of their things, similar to what HubSpot did, but in kind of a quirkier, more fun way. You hit like, and all of a sudden you're in, you get a promotional code, and you've given them a reason, that 15% off, to try and dig a little deeper and engage with your page. You can also do it for things like coupons. So Burt's Bees is a really nice example of this. They say, like us and unlock our offers, and they tell you what the offer is. So, maybe you need some new organic hand lotion or whatever Burt's sells, and you like the page. But not only do they have you like the page, but then you have to like the individual offer before you get it. Now, you might ask why they're doing that, but what it is simply is anything you like on Facebook shows up in your timeline of activity you've done, which means it's showing to all of your friends who are looking on your timeline that you've interacted with this brand on Facebook. So by making you click like this, it's going to show up on your timeline that you liked a coupon from Burt's Bees, and theoretically, hopefully, is going to make friends of your fans, and remember that's going back to the very first slide of that engagement profile, the potential fan, it's going to give them that impression. Once you finally do that, they give you the ability to print your coupon, but then they hit you one more time with an ability to share this. So, maybe you have a friend who has really chapped lips and you think they could use some new Burt's Bees product. Send it their way, post it onto their wall. So all these different opportunities within one app is opportunities that Burt's is getting more eyes on their product. And you can see down at the bottom, this app is powered by coupons.com. Free app to use. You can head over there to download it. And I'll say as we go through this, if it's a very generic kind of idea, like say a sweepstakes that I know a ton of different vendors offer sweepstakes apps, I'm not going to call out the specific vendor. But if it's a specific app that isn't part of the vendor profile I'm going to give you at the end, I will call that out and tell you where you can get the app. Similar to offers, but maybe a little bit more genuine or coming across to people as more compelling, is the idea of trading likes for a cause. So here they're saying for every like, they'll donate a piece of clothing to the Salvation Army. You can do it for every like up to 500 likes, you'll make a donation to your local food bank. Whatever it is, I would just recommend that the cause is in line with your brand, makes sense, and you really want it to be something that people, your customers, are going to identify with. So your customers see A, that your brand has values that they can get behind, and B, you're giving them a good reason. They have to do nothing but push a little button on Facebook to make a difference and give back to a cause. And a lot of brands have seen a ton of success with promotions like this. Sales and support is another big thing. So people always talk about what's the ROI of Facebook, return on investment. I've heard ROI stand for a million things when people are talking about social, like return on impressions, return on, because everyone's kind of afraid to say it because it's hard to point out. Well, if you use an app, if you use a commerce app, all of a sudden it becomes real easy. You know exactly what sales are being generated on Facebook. There's a couple different manifestations of that. This is an example of threadless. And one thing I like about this is it's not only about shopping, it's about experiencing the product. So Threadless is giving their fans opportunities to post it to their wall or like it. But if they post it to their wall, maybe it's a wish list. They could say, hey, buy this product for me. It gives them opportunities to engage in a different way than actually necessarily making the purchase. But right there, you can pull the drop down, say what size you are, and add it to your cart. Similarly, from what I said on the welcome page part, making it really easy to share is an important thing as well. So if you've got a e-commerce spot on your Facebook page, make sure that you utilize share buttons, whether they're Facebook share buttons, tweets, Google plus ones, whatever it is. If the vendor that you're using offers it, make sure to turn that option on. One thing that's a little different about most of these commerce apps, though, is you'll notice once you do click Buy Now, you're going to be taken out of Facebook. You're going to be taken to the shop for in this scenario, LiveScribe. You get taken to livescribe.com. You finish your transaction there. I mentioned Moontoast earlier because that's the infographic that I showed, but Moontoast makes an app for commerce that's all done within the Facebook environment. Moontoast is a company based in Nashville, where I lived for a couple of years while I was in business school. I had the opportunity to work with a couple of the guys who found the company. And I've talked to them, and they've been seeing a ton of success with this. Conversions go way up when people don't have to leave Facebook. For whatever reason, people are frightened to leave the comfortable environs that are Facebook. So I don't know that Moontoast is the only company that does this. They're the one that I know. But if you can provide a shopping experience where they don't have to leave the Facebook environment, you will see a bump in conversions there. As well as, the Facebook Connect, shareability, all that is going to be built right in.
So these kind of apps are specific apps for having some kind of a shopping cart on Facebook. It isn't the same sort of app that you would use, or the same company even, that would do the like or the...
Absolutely. So commerce apps are generally, there are some kind of clearinghouse app vendors out there that will have a commerce solution as part of their package, but most of the commerce apps are going to come from commerce-based specific, e-commerce specific app companies. Support is another way. So sales is a big part of your business. Support can be too. I say getting support off the wall. One of the things that you want to avoid at most costs is having customers air their grievances with you in as public of a place as the wall. The wall is supposed to be a happy place, a joyous place where people share pictures and give likes and do things like that. If people start, moaning about problems they're having with your business, it can add a real blight to the wall. At the same time, best practices indicate that you don't want to be deleting those posts and hiding them because it just looks bad in the long run that you're not, dealing with your detractors. But by housing support on a different tab and really, giving an option for someone who comes to your page to find a specific place to deal with support issues, you can pull it off of the wall. And so Guilt does something here where they actually have support all happening within the Facebook tab. So you can see the complaints are out here. This Alexandra here had a problem with her order. And the questions and replies are there and open to the public to see. If you're not comfortable with that, you can go the route that Dell does. They have a separate support tab, but all that tab is doing is linking them to their various support channels. So, if you have live chat, if you have a phone number, if you use Twitter for support, whatever it is, you can get them out here, link them from here. But the idea is kind of bringing potential problems off of the wall into its own environment and dealing with the problem in a controlled way. Gamification. You've all probably heard this term, particularly when it comes to things like Foursquare or anything that you earn badges or prizes with along the way. But it can also apply on Facebook, and there's a bunch of apps that play into the idea, the human interest in playing games. And one of the most obvious ways is contests. Contests are a great way to get people engaged, especially if we're talking about contests that require user-generated content, so actual participation, whether it's uploading a video, uploading an essay. A company that we'll talk about later called Wildfire has a contest app specifically for essays. So, if you're in a more cerebral line of business, and that's something that might appeal to your customers more than, say, send us a picture of you wearing a ugly Christmas sweater or something. That doesn't make sense for every brand, but there are ways that you can do it. Don't think about games as, oh, I'm not a fun, lighthearted brand. I sell auto parts. I don't know, something that you think people don't get excited about. I would challenge that assumption. People get excited about creating content and sharing personal, like, things about themselves with the brands that they interact with. So Intel's an example of it here. They're doing a promotion, what's the next big idea, where they're asking people to submit pitches of what their big business idea is. And Intel, which is a little bit larger than our company and most likely yours, is giving out 100 grand every month for this. It doesn't have to be that. It can be a much smaller prize. It can also be, just recognition. The idea that their videos and pictures will be featured on a page where other people will see it. You can also do sweepstakes, which takes less of a commitment from the participants. They don't have to film a video of themselves or write an essay or whatever. But can be kind of nice if instead of just a straight up, enter the contest, you do have some sort of engaging thing here. So LiveScribe, again, is doing something here where they, it's seasonal, have you been naughty or nice? And so it's just an entry form, but when you go, you select whether you're naughty or nice this year. And it's one more level of something that they can kind of do to interact with the page. They enter the sweepstakes. And hopefully, as you see, this app, also a Wildfire app, allows them to invite their friends to play along too. So this is a great way to spread the reach. The other thing to think about when doing a sweepstakes is product alignment. A lot of times you'll see companies say, enter the sweepstakes, like our page, get a new iPad. If you are a, organic grocery store, that's not going to make a whole lot of sense to give away an iPad. And the main reason is because everybody wants an iPad. Everybody's going to enter that contest. Great, you got a lot of new likes. But guess what? All those people who like iPads might not give a hoot about organic groceries. And all you've done is inflated your fan count with a bunch of fans that aren't actual potential customers, which is doing a disservice to everyone. You can report back to your marketing director, hey, we've got a lot of likes, but those likes are never going to turn into anything unless you're bringing potential customers into the fold. So, this is the obvious example. Bonobos gives away Bonobos. If you're that interested in getting $1,500 worth of their clothes, then you're probably a good target for a potential customer moving forward.
If you win this, are you going to get the lobster pants?
Absolutely.
Good.
I've shared some pants with my coworkers here that are wild and definitely not worth spending $100 on, but I would love to own them. Uh, the other thing that's really nice about here is once you're done, again, the share option. So not only are they giving you the ability to share, like on that first example where it said invite friends, but they're actually incentivizing. So the idea here is you're going to get more entries into the contest if you share it with your friends. So who doesn't want to do that? Go find out my other friends who wear khakis with lobsters on them and send this their way. More chances to win. Content is the final piece we're going to talk about today. Maybe you maintain a blog or a YouTube page. You've got content kind of housed all over the web. There are some really easy to use apps out there that make it super easy for you to bring that content to your Facebook page. And this touches back on being able to provide an engaging experience for your fans without having to leave Facebook, but being able to come and visit your page and have something to do other than reading people's comments to your brand on the wall, something actually to interact with. So video, again, is a big thing here. Cranium, they've got this video of people playing Cranium, which is hysterical. I tried to freeze it right there with this person. It
Lying
looks
on the
like they're
floor.
planking, but she was doing the worm, and it's really funny. And so I clicked through, and it's fun to watch these videos. So you don't have to be doing the worm though to have videos. If you have a lot of our customers are wineries. Jill and I are going up to Sonoma tomorrow to talk to the Wine Road organization. Wineries have a great piece of property. They can walk around, do a virtual tour. If
Virtual wine tasting too. That'd be cool.
but not nearly as satisfying as
No.
the real thing. Or maybe you use video to do product demos, telling people how to use the product, or maybe for customer testimonials. There's a lot of different ways you can use video, but video is fun for people regardless. Taking video to the next level and kind of fun. Some people might think it's gimmicky, but it certainly gets people talking about it. I'm talking about it. I found out about this one on an article about cool Facebook pages. Uh, eCycler, a recycling business, has a live stream camera of their in-office recycling bin. So you get to watch the recycling build up in their bin. So, maybe gimmicky, but certainly funny, entertaining, and definitely. I don't know how much action goes on in that recycling bin, but there's certainly an opportunity to do things. Maybe leave a little note on top of it, or do some fun stuff. So live stream is a cool idea. Maybe not 24/7, but if you're hosting a conference or a sale in your store or something like that, think about how you might be able to utilize a live stream to let people who aren't there physically get into the action. And this app is powered by Ustream, and I believe free to use. Another free-to-use app by a company called, I don't know if it's ISU or ISSUU, whatever it is. It's a really neat way to display documents on your Facebook page. So Zappos uses it here to display their entire catalog. So whatever the catalog is, the holiday lookbook is what is going on now. So that top banner is going to link you back to the shop. But down here, you can actually flip through the pages of their catalog in real time within the Facebook environment. And then they also have comments and sharing ability down below, all built into this app. Kind of neat, and I just found out about this a little while back, and immediately I said, oh, this could be great for our guides. So Vertical Response puts out guides, recommendations for email best practices, social media best practices, things like that we have hosted on our site for people to download. But if people could just peruse them on our Facebook page, that'd be great. So if you're in a B2B business and you don't have a cool glossy catalog like Zappos does, maybe you have white papers or other kind of exclusive content that you could host here using an app like this. Really, really great opportunity to get people hanging on the Facebook page. And lastly, your blog. Networked blogs by a company called Ninva, or Ninua, maybe. I can't remember if that's a V or a U, but networked blogs allows you to place a tab, and you can see on our page here on the tab menu, VR Marketing Blog, and it brings in a preview of the article, a link back to the article, a picture from whatever the post is, as well as all the various Facebook, Twitter, and email sharing options. Really neat, really free. If you've got a blog, I highly recommend you seeking out a app like this and bringing the content again to your fans where they are. Content wasn't the last thing we were going to talk about. I forgot about shining a light. So fan recognition is another great use of apps, and there's a couple different ways you can approach that. One is a fan of the month thing. That's a pretty typical one you might see on a lot of Facebook pages, but that's at random picking a fan, maybe giving some sort of reward, a coupon, a discount, free product, whatever, but really highlighting them and you know sending them a message, letting them know, and hopefully they share with their communities. But the idea really is about kind of giving that recognition and telling your fans out there that they're important to your business. And by making that step and recognition makes them feel better about doing business with you, even if they aren't the fan of the month, but they see that you're doing it. It's like, oh, that's cool. They're looking at us. We're not just another number of likes. We're an actual, entity that they're looking at and paying attention to. You can also gamify your fan appreciation. So this app here that is being used on the Candles Off main Facebook page is actually scoring their fans based on activities they make on the page. So for every like they do, for every comment they make, for every share that they do, they're getting points for their participation with the page. And those points then turn into rewards, in this case a $25 gift certificate each month. So a really neat way to incentivize people to engage with the page. And remember, the more that they engage, the more that their friends are seeing it, and the more awareness that you're raising. So I think this is a pretty neat use of fan featuring. You can also feature customers in a B2B space. So this is what we do here at Vertical Response. We do the featured nonprofit. So this is an opportunity for us to recognize the nonprofits that use our services, and we call out ones who are doing a really good use of technology in their fundraising. So whether it's email, social media, websites, blogs, we like to highlight a nonprofit every 6 weeks or so that's using our service and doing good things. But in addition, we get an opportunity to talk about our nonprofit program. So up top here, you see information about the nonprofit program, a link to learn more. So again, it's lead generation, as well as sharing. And I cannot fit it all on one page, but if you scroll down, there's also the social comment plugin as well, so people can engage with this tab in particular, not with the page overall. And finally, this is again the horse business company that had that crazy busy welcome page in the beginning. They do a thing where they're promoting other businesses that they work with. So, colleagues, think about who you could recognize too. And they're actually giving a like button that's liking the page of these other companies. So it's kind of like a, pay it forward sort of thing. People are engaging on the page, and now they can go check out some companies that maybe they hadn't heard of and, have the opportunity to like them and learn about new things. And that's only bringing good karma to the horse business place because, they're sharing the love, as it says up there, and that comes back. So now we have exactly 40 minutes. My estimate was spot on for once. Jill appreciates that, I'm sure. I just want to spend 2 minutes here before we go into Q&A showing you some options that you have. So first off, this is like the catch-all, amazing, super free app on Facebook, static HTML. You can see I am not just blowing smoke. It's got 71 million monthly active users. That's because it is so easy, so simple. All it is something you copy HTML in to, and then it creates a tab for you. So this is a free thing to use. You can use this, for example, for the HTML that we give you for your opt-in form if you want to do that on Facebook. Um, if you don't know HTML, this is not going to be a great app for you. That said, if if you have a website, somebody designed your website. If you have you've I would suggest it's worth it because this is free, and we'll see when we go into pricing for other things. There's, subscriptions can add up over time. So if you could spend a little bit of money up front hiring someone to design a welcome tab for you and give you the HTML, then you can host it for free on your site and never have to, only pay that one-time charge. So static HTML is great. You'll notice I've had this question before. If you've installed it once, you can't install it again, but they do have a way to use it multiple times. They just basically have multiple static HTML apps available for your use on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook and you're searching, start searching for static HTML, and you'll see this one will come up. You go to the page, you can add to your page. Fantastic. You want to add another one? Go starting to search again for static HTML, and you'll see static HTML second app or something, static HTML third app. I can't remember what the exact verbiage is on it, but it's very clear that you just go on to the second one when you're ready to install a second tab. So anyway, static HTML, free. You can thank these guys, Timothy and Jason, for developing it and just throwing it out there for the world to use. Great way to get started with custom apps without a huge investment. But there are a bunch of vendors out there making kind of out-of-the-box, ready-to-go templates that are much easier for people who don't have HTML, don't want to pay a designer, or what have you. And most of them have free options, free trials, various things. So I did my best here to kind of break it down. And while we go into Q&A, we'll leave this screen up so you can take notes. I will tell you, I have not used them all. I have used the top 4, which is why I put them up top. They're the only ones I can speak to, and I don't have anything bad to say about any of them. They offer different packages, different pricing, so I would, recommend kind of doing your research and figuring out what's going to work best for you. You can see, Wildfire and North Social don't really have free options other than a trial. OfferPop and Involver do. OfferPop gives you, if you have under 500 fans on your Facebook page, any of their apps are free, which is great for small businesses who are just trying to get started. And if the apps work to get you more fans, and you go over that 500 mark, you might realize that it is worth paying for because, hey, they worked. Short Stack, which I haven't used, but I've heard a lot of great stuff about, you can do the same for up to 2,000 fans, so it gives you a little bit more mileage there. And you can see they range. These pricing that I put here are for the most basic packages. So they do go up in pricing from here, and there will be different features you can unlock, etc., as you go. So something to think about. And some of them you'll notice is a per app thing. So both Wildfire and OfferPop, if you're not going to have 5 different custom tabs and doing promotions every month, but you just want to kind of get your feet wet and check some stuff out, those are great options without having to subscribe. It's kind of like our pay-as-you-go program, but you can pay for one app. The way Wildfire works is you pay for it as long as you have it installed. So, $5 to get started and 99 cents a day thereafter. Or OfferPop lets you do 2 weeks of any app for $30. So some different companies to check out. There's a lot more. Just simply searching for like Facebook app companies will bring up tons. These, though, are all reputable ones that I have heard something about and have seen people using, both customers and peers of mine. So they have come recommended from somewhere. There's a lot of fly-by-night ones out there, too, that I wouldn't suggest investing much in. But I think you'll probably be safe with most of these, and I can say that for sure with the top 4 because I have hands-on experience with all of them.